Okay, so the next bit of the film has Casey going through and meeting up who's got the some like-minded people, hopefully, right? Because she goes to find out the pin, who else may have one, or at least somebody else who is willing to talk about him. She goes into the store, and immediately in the store, we, the viewers, see that there's Hollywood imagery on one side and NASA imagery on one side, and there's one person at the back watching a nuclear, the gatekeeper of the Hollywood and NASA imagery is watching a nuclear bomb go off, like destruction with a nuclear bomb, right? Hollywood and NASA are working together with their CGI images. Those are the gatekeepers and they want destruction. You know, and even when the other fella comes out from the back and their scene doesn't work, is further evidence that their scenes don't work. And when you start questioning them, you know, the devil's greatest trick was to convince you he doesn't exist. But thankfully, the devil's in the details, so that when you start looking at stuff and questioning it, you'll find out again what you thought you know, but it turns out it's not so. What can I say? What you think you know, and it turns out that it's not so. So she goes in there, finds those people. They're awful. They try to kill her. And another cute line comes out when Athena comes in with the time orb and says, if you don't, the sphere is collapsing. If you don't get off of it, you're dead. Well, the sphere, the ball that doesn't exist, right? Because she did the lighthouse thing with the curvature. The sphere is collapsing. Get off or you're dead. You know, what are you going to do? Right? You got to let it go. And then the robots are killed. But there's a great couple of lines that come out of one of those dead robots, and it's crazy enough to imagine, crazy enough to imagine, crazy enough to imagine. Because when you start talking about, when you start questioning the globe model, and people are like, don't fuck with that shit, you're seriously questioning something, and so they'll immediately think you're crazy. Most people think you say it's not a ball, they think, oh, you're saying it's a disc? Or, people that are even more, versed on the subject say, you think it's hollow? It's like, no. Truth is the is when you're only left with fact. And this whole exercise is more about getting rid of the crap, getting rid of the CGI, getting rid of the NASA, the Hollywood imagery, and finding out what we're on. And that's where we're at. And then the final scene with the robots at the store after it's blown up and they get away is the NSA, or the Edward Snowden, the police state comes in that reports directly to Governor Nix. Forget the president, uh, right? Because that's where they're at. Comes in, erases the local record, and off they go. So that's an important one. Where that store in Texas, right? Everything happens in Texas. Um, well, it's true, isn't it? So that scene's very important. NASA, Hollywood together, watching destruction. If you look at the scenery, you're going to come up with holes in it. And, you know, people are going to call you crazy if you are smart enough to consider. Thanks. Next scene. Here we go.